this is not Forza Motorsport, I hear you say. Well, you're right, but please don't run away just yet, because I actually want to talk about Forza Motorsport in this video and try to figure out what it's maybe missing while doing a little bit of a comparison with this. And this is Assetto Corsa Competizione, or ACC for short, the official GT World Challenge game. As we are getting started here on a very familiar track, Watkins Glen, in a very familiar car, the McLaren 720S GT3. Though this one is the Evo, so the newest iteration of the car, which we sadly don't have yet in Forza Motorsport. And we are not driving in just a general GT category. No, this game actually has different racing categories. While the GT category of Forza Motorsport is all over the place in terms of what cars are in there, it basically generally resembles what we're driving right here, the GT3s. But this game also has GT4s, which are closer to the production cars and therefore slower, and will soon also have GT2s, which will also be very interesting. And it has some one-offs, which you're gonna see some later in this video. Because I set this race up as an AI race with Multiclass, which is a very cool thing that you can do in this one. And it will not only be about just driving against cars that are very similar to yours, no, it will later on also be about traffic management with slower cars. And that is very fun to me. Yes, you can do something similar in Forza Motorsport as well, by setting up a private lobby and try to set it up in a way where you can have multiple classes, but you couldn't differentiate different GT cars because, well, those are basically all in one category. You could, however, do GT and touring cars, for example. That is definitely possible. But I think in this one it's a little bit easier to do, and also the grid size can be bigger. In this one it's just 30 cars, but in multiplayer you can have way more than this. I actually don't know what the limit is, but I've seen grids like 80 plus, I think, in multiplayer, which is ridiculous and only really works on some tracks, let's be fair. But yeah, you're seeing my driving right here, and I want to excuse myself a little bit here. I haven't been driving ACC for a long time, like I think half a year or something, so I really needed to get back into this one and was struggling a little bit in the beginning, and you can see that in my driving at least a little bit. It will get better by the end of it, but well, take this with a grain of salt. I still am not quite used to ACC's driving physics and how the game handles with the steering wheel and the force feedback of that yet. I need to do a little bit of driving in this one to really get back into it after doing Forza Motorsport for so long. But don't worry, this is not gonna replace Forza Motorsport on the channel. I just like to drive this game from time to time, and well, I just want to see if that's also something you might be interested in. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of both ACC in general, if you have driven that before, and if you want to see more videos on it. I could definitely do that. But as I said, it's not gonna replace my Forza content, don't worry. And well, as we are driving right here in our second lap on Watkins Glen, I managed to get a couple of places. I think I did set the AI difficulty a little bit too low, but I was a little bit afraid because I was kind of off pace when just trying the game after having such a long break, so yeah, wasn't really settled in. It got a little bit better, so I actually was a bit faster than the AI, and I should maybe have set it a little bit higher, but well, it's okay for this one, because it's not just about well, what I'm doing here in terms of just driving against the other GT3s and if I'm doing well there. No, it is about multiclass, as I said before. And you can see here in front there are some slower cars which I'm approaching right now. And these are not the GT4s, this is actually a even slower category. These are the BMW M2s, which are part of, I think it's called the TCX category. And well, they are not very fast, as you can see, compared to a GT3 like we are driving here. And well, it now becomes about traffic management, because multiclass is all about trying to get through the slower cars as fast as possible while trying to, well, not hit them, for one, and then also, well, giving them enough space to do their racing, because they are still racing in their category. It's not like they don't have any space on the track and are just like things to avoid and make the race harder. No, they are racing themselves, and you as a faster class need to be very aware of that and need to make moves that make sense, because the slower category is always entitled to their racing line, and you have to be the one who can, well, make the move stick. Let's, as we are approaching the GT Force here, by the way, also talk about some things that this game, or racing sim as it's probably more known as, does differently. Because ACC, as I said, is a racing simulation, which Forza Motorsport is more in the ballpark of a simcade, I would say. So somewhere between an arcade racer and a simulation. It tries to be a little bit of a simulator, but, well, this one definitely does way more there. But hold that thought as I go into bus stop a little bit too quickly and clip the curb, well, I think in a bad way somehow, and, well, spin out. So yeah, that is something that can happen both in this one and in Forza Motorsport. And I awkwardly make my way around and try to get back on track. And, well, get a little bit of a touch on the barrier here, which does give me some damage. Which is a thing that happens in this one as well, and we're gonna talk about that later on as well. I did now fall back a little bit, and, well, we're gonna have to overtake all the GT4s again. And I also lost at least one position, as it seems like, in the GT3 category. But yeah, what does this game as a racing sim do differently? Well, it tries to simulate real life a little bit more than Forza Motorsport does. And that does happen in multiple ways. One thing you can see in the bottom right is the tire display. It's like somewhere more towards the middle, but still bottom right. You can take a look at the green bars, which represent the tires. They here have, well, pressure, as you would expect, but they also have temperature and they degrade. Which, yes, all that is true for Forza Motorsport as well, but I think they are simulated way more realistically in this one. And it, well, driving-wise feels very different if you are not having the right pressures in this one. You really want to be in the correct range, which I, by the way, am not quite. I think right now in the current version of this, you want to be like in the high 26 PSI range, and I'm more in the low. So yeah, not optimal right here, so don't fault me for that, please. So that is one aspect. And another big one for me is when you look in the very bottom right, I would say. This game doesn't have just racing assists like Forza Motorsport does, which are just on or off, or have like two different values right now. This one has assists like they do in the real cars. So these cars, GT3s, have TC, so traction control, and ABS, but they are adjustable. And that is something that is really cool, as I here don't really predict where that GT4 is going well enough, and, well, bump into him a little bit. That wasn't too great. But yeah, as I was saying, assists are a thing in these cars in real life as well as this sim, because that's just how these cars are driven. They do have TC, but generally you don't set it all too high because you don't want it to interfere too much. And same goes for ABS, basically. And that's a nice thing about this. You can adjust it on the fly, on track, when there are changing conditions, for example, or if you maybe just don't have the correct tire pressures, you can definitely play with those. Another thing is brake bias. You can also set that on the fly. I mostly don't do that because I'm not that good at it, but you can make use of different brake bias, so how much the brake is set to the front or the back, by, well, adjusting that in different corners to suit, well, that corner type. And, well, those two things are, I think, what is the like one of the main differences to Forza Motorsport, apart from just the general driving physics and handling. It's a different beast. It kind of handles similar in terms of the feel of the GT3s to the GT cars in Forza Motorsport, but it's still quite a lot different. And what's like for me the biggest difference in this one is made specifically with wheel and pedals in mind. While Forza Motorsport, I think, is made mostly with controller in mind, and well, it has improved quite a lot with wheel and pedals. I can play with that very nicely, but still in this one I think you're gonna struggle on controller. I think there are some very fast people, even pro drivers, who play on controller, but I couldn't do it, not in this one. In Forza Motorsport I'm already not that great on it. In this one I can't control the cars with controller. Just as a heads up if you're interested in this. And by the way, this one is available both on PC and the console, so multi-platform is there, though I don't think it has cross-platform like Forza Motorsport does. So if you're on one platform, I don't think you can play with other people on a different platform. So those are some just general things about how these games or sims differ in terms of like how they handle the driving, I would say. But then there is also some other things, and well, we're gonna talk about that. Like if we come up to this car in front here, which is, I think, yeah, that should be a GT4, and we're overtaking him and coming up to the next one. But actually, hold that. So I think there's something stupid happening by me here, as I think I may have not estimated correctly how slow this car would be in front of me going through that corner. I would have expected him to go through that way faster and completely missed that. And well, that's not a great thing to do. Luckily this is only AI, so that's not that terrible, but yeah, I would need, I think, quite a lot of practice before going into a multiplayer race, at least a multi-class one. But yeah, one thing that you maybe were able to see beforehand, and we're gonna take a look once we get closer to the next car once again, is how this game handles the proximity alerts. There aren't the stupid proximity arrows which are present in Forza Motorsport. This one has a radar. You can see that in the middle, like somewhat towards the top, below the virtual rear view mirror, which is also a thing that's always you can always enable. And as we're getting closer to these cars, take a look, there's the radar, and you can clearly see, even if you can't see to the left and right of you or behind you properly with mirrors, or just don't have that big of a screen, you can still see where cars are at. And well, that's one thing that I wish was in Forza Motorsport. It's like the biggest thing for me, because I always have trouble knowing where cars are around me, and that is way easier judged by a radar like this one has. We are, by the way, now at the end of the race. We did skip a lot, and something you were able to see maybe, as I had that collision with the car in front, this game has damages. You can damage your car. You can do that in Forza Motorsport as well if you enable it, but in multiplayer it is disabled by default. And here this actually affects the car quite a lot, and you maybe were able to see how I have to steer kind of to the left to be able to go straight. And this was quite a struggle in the last couple of laps, and the Audi behind me did close in, and I almost lost the position, but not quite, and managed to get it home in P1, so that was kind of great. And well, that was this race, and now let's take a look at a little bit of a comparison between ACC and Forza Motorsport. And you can see Forza Motorsport is on the right, while ACC is on the left. And we are now looking at, as you could clearly see, and you may have guessed, Barcelona, my favorite track. If you're not sick of it yet, then you will hopefully be able to see the difference in well, both visuals and the driving in this. And I would really urge you to take a closer look and go back and maybe even watch this in slow motion if you want to, because there are some very subtle differences in how this handles. You can see in the steering wheel. There's also some differences in terms of acceleration and braking, but those changes are very difficult to spot, especially since I don't have them shown here. It was kind of difficult to get that in, so apologies for that. But yeah, let me know, both in terms of visuals and sound, which I'm gonna show you here as well. What do you think in the comparison here? Which one do you prefer? Just from watching this maybe. And if you've played it yourself, let me know what you like about Forza Motorsport and what you like about ACC. Because ultimately these are two different games, and I don't want to draw the comparison here that these are very similar games and one is better than the other. By the way, ACC has still a different version of Barcelona, as you can see. But yeah, these games are different, and it's totally fine that they are, because they aim to do different things. But still, I think some of the things that I talked about, which I really like about ACC, well, those could be very helpful in Forza Motorsport as well. And I'm talking both about adjustable TC and ABS while in a race, or maybe at least in the setup screen or tuning. And also my main one, the radar. That's also a huge one. And I would like to see differentiation between the different GT cars. That also would be really nice, because GT3 cars are the main ones and they are great, but GT4s are also very fun. And I might show you those in a later video if you're interested. Definitely let me know in the comments. Because I really like GT4s on ACC. I had a blast in those while driving them in online races. Even did league races with them. It was really fun. So yeah, as I said, very different games, but still I think Forza Motorsport can learn a thing or two from ACC. But yeah, that's what I want to show you in this one, what I wanted to talk about. And yeah, now it's up to you to let me know, what do you think, and do you want to see more of ACC on the channel? I would really like to know, because I would love to do that. I'm gonna play it more anyway, because I really want to get back into it if I have the time. As I said, Forza Motorsport is still gonna be the main thing on the channel, but doing some ACC on the side would be really fun to me, and if you would like to see that, I might do more videos on it. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. And with that, I would just like to thank you a lot for watching. I've been HG Racing. See you in the next one.